I guess what has been your sense in the midst of all this chaos and madness? Like, what have your sentiments been, and why did you even feel the need to kind of bring someone on to talk about it?
I mean, I think I felt ashamed of my white privilege and the fact that maybe I'd never really stopped to acknowledge it. And I thought, okay, I want to be on the right side of history here. You know, it's not enough to not be racist. You have to be
Yeah,
anti-racist
yeah.
on that and be vocal about it and not just be like, oh, people know I'm not racist. It's like, no, let's act on it. Let's
People
about
know I'm
it.
not racist.
And um, I thought it was truly the least I can do to offer. Like, what do I have to offer? Okay, I have
Yeah,
a platform of people who are willing to listen. So let me use that. And I asked on Twitter if people could tell me the names of Black activists
yeah.
who would like to come on my page. And someone actually messaged. They were like, I don't think it's appropriate to call them Black. Like, I don't know if you should say. I was like, but here's the thing. I'm like, okay, you're making the term Black out to be derogatory,
Hmm.
not like society
Not at all.
has told you, like, oh, don't, it's African American. Like,
Yes.
because you've put Black people.
Correct. Lily, I gotta chime in. Let me interject, because here's the thing. We have to start having conversations and stop exclusively listening and reading like history books. Because a history book will leave you hella confused.
Sure.
Right? A history book will make you wonder, do I say Black or do I say African American? Where having a conversation with me, Emmanuel Acho, will tell you, nah, bro, like just say Black. I
Sure.
can't tell you how many of my NFL friends have called me, hey, Emmanuel, I want to release this statement. And I'm talking like Super Bowl winning friends. Hey, I want to release this statement. Can you proofread it? Like, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about this? I respect them because they're getting my opinion before they release something publicly. But that's what it's about, is like, have a conversation with the source. I can ask my friend, hey, how was that movie? How was that show? How was that Lily was in? Or I can just go watch.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And so often we're like, oh, how was that movie she was in? Rotten Tomatoes didn't give it a lot of stars. And
Sure.
it's like, just go watch, and I encourage everybody, like, get off the bench. Stop just taking someone else's word for it. Don't watch a movie and be like, well, I know Black guys who wear chains, they're hoodlums.
Sure.
Or like, man, they say blondes are dumb. Like this, stop with the stereotypes and really get experience. Let me ask you this, Ali, because I've been curious. How would you have defined, or how do you define white privilege? And how would you even acknowledge that, like, maybe I am privileged?
I think it was an interesting, again, referring to the all the Instagram. It's someone who called out. Okay, so it was Blackout Tuesday the other day.
Yeah.
Silenced your social media, and I still saw people posting things to me that seemed extremely irrelevant and
Yeah.
selfies or whatever. And it became clear that if you are able to go through your life ignoring the movement, let's say right now, if you're able to just go on with your life without acknowledging Black Lives Matter, that is
Mm-hmm.
privilege, not directly affecting. And
Mm-hmm.
so who are right now posting beauty shots and whatever the hell
Yeah.
they make,
Yeah.
that's because they have the privilege to not worry about what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, you're so right. I called one of my friends. She's a house designer, an interior decorator here in Austin, and she had been posting so many houses last Friday and Thursday. And then finally she called and like, is that insensitive? And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, it is. But I'm
Yeah.
like, it's not insensitive because you're being intentionally mean. I just don't get, how in the world are you able to post anything other than what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't fix my fingers to make a football post right now. And I'm an ESPN analyst by trade. Like, all I do is talk about sports. I can't even bring it in me to retweet a tweet because of the sheer chaos
Yeah.
and destruction. And like, you mentioned Black Lives Matter. And so I kind of want to, I don't know if I addressed this earlier, because my head is also spinning. So like the Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter thing, so many people have brought that up. And I'll say it like this. Well, if you pull up into your neighborhood watching, if you pull up into your neighborhood and you see one house is burning, and so you pick up your phone and you call the fire department, you wouldn't say, hey, all these houses are on fire. No, you would say, hey, there's a house burning. Can you come fix it? In the NFL, where I played for 4 years, every October was Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Mm.
That's not to undermine other forms of cancer. We're just spotlighting this one form of cancer. And so, like, when people say Black Lives Matter, it's not meant to be rude. It's not meant to undermine any other life. It's just saying, hey, there's this one house that's burning down. And so while, yes, there are several other houses in the neighborhood and they're all dignified in their own right, can we put the fire out in the one house that's burning down? And when I say burning down, I mean like Black people are dying at the hands of police brutality. And let me say this, which I haven't actually ever said yet publicly. There's a quote that stuck with me from a book in high school. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That means that like power corrupts, and if you have absolute power, you for sure gonna get corrupted.
Mm.
Police officers, for the most part, they have absolute power. You're wearing a badge and you got a gun.
Yeah.
Like you have all the power in the world. So of course several of them are gonna be corrupt.
Sure.
Right? Not all of them, by no means, but if you give anybody ultimate power, of course there's going to be corruption. So it's not exclusively just like a police trying to kill Black people issue. It's a corruption issue and it's a race issue.
Yeah. I mean, it explains why our White House corrupt.
Power. It'll do it to you. What do you think? Because I'm sure there's so many white people that are trying to figure out what are their role in all of this. What do you feel is your role in the midst of all this chaos and trying to bring peace in this world?
I think it's interesting because I had a chat yesterday with Kenidra, who's been a protester and a big supporter of this movement since she was 13. And she had said like something that really angered her was when she went to a protest and she saw white people speaking for her. And it was that, I mean, that struck me because I would never think to try to lead the charge of this movement because this is like, although I can like support and do the best I can, it's like, it's almost, I don't want to say this is not my fight, but it's my voice is not as important as the Black voices right now. And so whatever I can do to amplify Black voices, because I can't speak for you, I guess. So my voice is not going to have the same impact as your voice or Kenidra's or anyone else that, I can have on my Instagram to talk about this because I'm a white woman. And, I just don't have the same impact. It doesn't mean as much, me going, I don't know. I think it's just like, I'm trying to be an ally. I'm trying to offer up what I can, which is my platform. I'm trying to show my support and put it out there that like, I want your voice to be heard. I mean, like I said, I think the best way to go about this is for anyone who's in my position who has, and Bo Burnham, who's, I like to call him a friend. He is a comedian. He's a director. He posted earlier. He was like, if you're like me and have, more money than you know what to do with, like a amount that you don't need, put it to good use. And I think that is also saying something. I think if you have the means, even if it's a small amount, just feeling like you're actively participating in this movement for the better.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it does. It does. I will expound on something you said because to a degree, I disagree. I think that the Black voice is more inspirational right now because ours is more heartfelt. Like the pain is so real. Yeah. But I would argue the white voice is more powerful.
Okay.
And there's a difference, right? I would argue like your voice is more powerful than mine, not by number of followers, but because you'll infiltrate spaces I never can.
Okay. Yeah.
If you want to get a sports message across, best believe, have me tweet it.
Sure.
But if I want to get a message across to white people, well, I might not be the best person to have tweeted. And so while I think right now Black voices are extremely inspirational
Yeah.
and they're extremely driven, I think that it's the spaces, it's the voices of yours and so many of my white friends, my white brothers and sisters. Y'all are so powerful because y'all have aunts and uncles and cousins and family members that have lived to a degree like in ignorance,
Sure.
and like group chats that could be infiltrated and be like, hey, have you ever thought of this? Wait,
Yeah.
have you ever thought about it that way? No, what you're saying makes total sense. I think that we just have to take it upon ourselves, you, I, and the rest of kind of our generation, to make this change. Because like if we don't, nobody's gonna make it for us.
Yeah. Well, it's just going to happen again in another 5, 10 years.
Yeah.
So, like, what needs to happen now? Let's make it so we don't need to have this fight again in another
Again, yes. It's kind of like when you end it,
fight. Yeah.
it's like when you there's nothing worse. And here's the thing, it's kind of like when you get food poisoning, you're sick for a day and like it's 24 hours and it's gone.
Sure.
But this is one of those like lingering illnesses.
This is
You
like
know, like
on or always.
I've never had mono, but I hear it's terrible.
Yeah.
But yes, this is like that. I guess. Did you have any questions for me that you've heard, you've seen, you've thought? Because so that those of y'all that are watching, I released a video. If you haven't seen it, Uncomfortable Conversations with the Black Man. Like I told y'all earlier, now has 13 million views. It's been crazy, and I just wanted to create a safe space for dialogue like this.
Yeah.
I wanted to create a safe space to be like, look, my guard is down. Like, ask me what you'd be too scared to ask someone else. Do you have a question that you've seen, thought, heard?
I definitely, that one tweet about, someone telling me that calling someone a black person is offensive, that was definitely, I stopped to think about it and I was like, oh, I obviously want to make sure I'm not doing the wrong thing here. Like, is that offensive? So, but again, I didn't think that it was offensive, but I'm glad you provide your view on that. But I guess, coming from you, what would you say right now that maybe other people in my position or some of my followers, fans who are white, like what would you like to see from my generation of white people and people who aren't colored? What can we do to best support the Black community right now?
I think if we really want to make change, if I was a main legislator and I was running like a communist society where there's one person in charge, you'd have to like mandate integration. I would seek out a way to integrate my groups, to integrate my friendship circles. If you're watching this and you're on a sports team, like find a way to make that sports team as integrated as possible. If you're watching this and like you go to church that has small groups, make those spaces integrated. Find ways to blend in with other communities. Find ways to let other communities blend in with you. There's no quick fix. It's a matter of, okay, I know that I don't know about this culture. Let me go blend in with it. When I played in the NFL for the Philadelphia Eagles, I walked into the cafeteria and all our meals are there and it's all prepped and stuff. And all the white people were sitting at a table and all the black people were sitting at tables. And there were like 60 of us. And it's because you go to who you're familiar with, to who you're culturally friends with. And there came a point in time where I was like, you know what? Let me just go hang with the white people, see what they're talking about.
Sure.
Now, they was talking about country music, but thankfully your boy knows how to two-step because I live in Austin, Texas. And so if I'm encouraging your followers, encouraging you, it's a matter of find a way to integrate and blend your spaces. It's not enough to say, I'm not racist, or like, I don't say the N-word, or, I'm not. It's find a way to be proactively enhancing diversity. Like, that's the best way to learn is through experience. So that would be my main lead. And then also, listen, be quick to listen. Like, everybody right now is saying, don't just post a hashtag to post a hashtag. Because we don't need no more hashtags. We don't need no more movements. Like, we need real hearts, like listening, real people understanding. So That would be like my call to action, if you
Yeah.
will.